All right, this is some approaches I've been thinking about for how to get the most out of your Pathways experience. I had done my DTM with the old school system, like a couple of other members like Paul. When I came back from Japan, it was Pathways time. So right now, the way that Toastmasters is moving is we're taking several paths and cutting them down to the top 6. The top 6. Now we have a couple of people here who aren't in Toastmasters. Raise your hand if you're not a Toastmaster. Not a Toastmaster. Just a couple, right? But what I wanted you to do is take a moment. If you're not in Toastmasters, that's okay. Think about which of these paths, what words kind of stand out to you as something you want to learn if you're new. So you have things like dynamic leadership, how to help lead an organization, engaging humor, how to be Eric Ma, our resident funny man. Motivational strategies. Is anyone doing motivational strategies in our club?
No.
1, okay, nice. Motivate me! All right, number 4, presentation mastery. Several people, right? Number 5, persuasive influence, and then number 6, visionary communication, which Paul was doing that today, and Alice did presentation mastery. If you are doing a path, why you picked that path? What was your goal? Why did you pick that one? If you're not in Toastmasters, what you'd want to get out of Toastmasters or why you're here. We start here is because, I'll give you an example. Jenny, she was saying she's a part, what's your path?
Team collaboration.
Okay, team collaboration, which sounds really helpful. And then when Paul and Jenny were discussing, well, why'd you pick that? Why did I pick that?
Because she wants to collaborate with her husband.
Hey! Now, the reason why we start here is because understanding why you pick this path impacts how you interact with it. Let me give you an example. So I picked visionary communication. And so visionary communication, this is the description. This path helps you build your skills as a strategic communicator and leader. The projects on this path focus on developing your skills for sharing information with the group, planning communications, and creating innovative solutions. Speech writing, speech delivery are emphasized. This path culminates in the development and launch of a long-term personal or professional vision. Now, why did I pick this? So I'm decent at speech writing, I'm decent at speech delivery. I suck at projects. I am terrible with doing things long-term. And
that's a lie. You've been studying Chinese for 15 years.
Look how bad it's going. No, just kidding. All right, and planning communications. These key words stood out to me as something I want to work on. And so later on, I'm going to share a PDF that has these descriptions. Because if you haven't picked a path, read that. Think about what things you personally want to get out of it. And if you already have a path, in Toastmasters we complete 2. So this can also be something to consider the next time that you pick your path. So starting with an objective is important. It helps keep you motivated to go through the projects. It helps you decide what kinds of projects you pick, what kinds of speeches you give. It helps with a lot of that. Now, going forward here. Okay, so Pathways approach.
Hey, who's that?
Wow.
Hey, it's Quan. He says, let's go!
Let's go!
Did you get permission to use this?
No, I didn't. I thought Quan wasn't going to be here. He's too busy studying to get married. All right, so used to be that TGIF Born to Shine, the only thing you needed to worry about in the old system was basically coming up with a 5 to 7 minute speech that had a good opening, body, conclusion, and could make people laugh, maybe get you one of the nice bookmark awards. But Pathways is trickier because you need to consider first the main goal of the path, right? I showed you mine, visionary communication. I need to be a better planner. I need to be more organized. Second thing, reviewing the goal of the project and the speech. This is a little like Spy Family here with the X. Okay, the reason, why are they divided? So you'll notice that if you go through Pathways, there will be a project, something that you're trying to learn. Leadership skills. They're like, how do you be a good leader? How do you do it? But then the speech won't be, tell me what's in the project. It'll be, tell me a story about leadership. Could be a personal experience, could be a story you heard. So these two things aren't necessarily the same. So you have to be mindful of this difference. And then create a speech targeted at the goal. I can't tell you how many times, just this year alone, I've either evaluated or seen a speech that had nothing to do with the thing that the speech was supposed to be for. It'll be like body language, and they'll say, according to the UN statistics in 2022, 33% of culture. It doesn't match. And so, if you take nothing from this, do this. Make sure that the speech you're making matches the goal of the project. Alright, now, the reason I mentioned this is I did a survey of Born to Shine and TGIF. And I asked you, how often do you check online materials for your projects? Always, sometimes never, what's Basecamp? Basecamp is the platform for pathways.
So 0%.
That's not where Eric goes camping.
Now, okay, an alarming amount of you, 10%, always. 60% sometimes, 30% never. I'm assuming this is like Paul or maybe Douglas. I don't know.
Hey, I printed mine.
To be fair, it really wasn't anonymous for that reason. Now, what this tells, it's mostly a joke, don't worry about it. But basically, I understand it's easy to not look at it because it takes like 20,000 clicks to like log in, click your path, click launch, click activate, click in, and then click 5 more buttons. I get it. I have an aneurysm trying to...
Today I accidentally finished a project.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. But looking at those materials, especially if you're new in Toastmasters, can be helpful. So it's worth a click. Today is not about Basecamp. It's a scary thing. We're not going to talk about it. All right. So here's some basic ideas. All right. This is some approaches I've been thinking about for how to get the most out of your Pathways experience. A lot of this is common sense. You probably already do this. But I've divided it into pre-game, party, after party. Because TGIF and Born to Shine. You guys are like a party. It's good. So these are kind of 3 stages. So if we look at pre-game, what are we doing to get ourselves ready? So our first step, check the project. So you've clicked 1,000 times, you have carpal tunnel, you've made it. Go through the materials and confirm the goal of the project. If you're new to Toastmasters, read it more closely. What are the main points it's trying to teach you? So for example, I was doing planning communications. And the materials for that were like, oh, how do you build out your calendar for social media communication? How do you build out your strategy for conveying the goals of XYZ? Now, if I were somebody who's already doing PR stuff, like if I think Kelly, you do PR, right? Well, you are VP PR at TJF, so yes, anyway. This isn't something that Kelly really needs, because Kelly's already experienced with that. But Joe Calpin, I am disorganized like all get out. I need to read it. Okay, so you've read it. You check the project. Now you confirm your goal. So think about what areas you personally want to work on. So for example, if you're brand new and you feel like I need to work on basic speech skills, rather than saying like, oh, I need to work on my speech structure, I need to work on vocal variety and body gestures, I need to do it all now. Try to think about what one area you want to focus in on. And see how that can be put into the project. So for example, recently I was doing effective PowerPoint. It's not a good time to work on body language, right? What it is a good opportunity for is making sure that my structure is really good. So think about the 1 or 2 things that you want to work on personally as a speaker. Okay, and then you start to brainstorm. What things do I feel like working on? What stories do I want to tell? So for example, Iris has 1,000 different kinds of amazing stories that she can tell.
She does.
Both personal stories and the tons of books that she's read. But which of those stories, that cloud, is going to fit that project? Because basically you want to try to match them as closely as you can. I think this impacted, Paul, your speech tonight, right? I remember you saying you wanted to kind of get closer to the goal.
Yes.
So the tricky thing is, if you're just giving a 5 to 7 minute speech, all of you can do that. Born to Shine, TJF, you're all very effective speakers. But if you want to be able to kind of go through the process, it takes a bit more thinking. Now, I don't know what to do for this speech. I have no ideas. Did you know there's a TJF and Born to Shine YouTube channel?
What?
What?
Yeah.
Please subscribe. And what's the channel called?
TGI Born to Shine, Christian Toastmasters.
TJF and Born to Shine Christian Toastmasters. Okay, why do I say this?
It's on the agenda. It's on the agenda.
The reason I mention this is 2 months ago, Mark, he's one of our new members of TJF. He was getting ready to do his icebreaker. And, okay, what do? How do I prepare an icebreaker? I sent him a video of an icebreaker. Where did the video come from? Paul Sharp, TJF Born to Shine. At this point, pretty much every single possible pathway speech, there's a video.
Yes.
And if you notice here, somebody, I don't know who, maybe a guy from South Africa, he writes the path and the level, and there are more details. What's the objective? So if you're looking for ideas of how to do yours, check out our YouTube channel. Paul didn't pay me to say this. Okay, so there are lots of materials, and it's a good way to kind of generate ideas if you can't think of something off the top of your head. I'll give you an example. The speech I hate the most is the, what's your leadership style? What's your leadership style? And I don't know what my leadership style is. So I started watching a lot of videos to see, okay, how do other people deal with it? And I saw somebody, they told a story, like from a book they read. And so what I did was, we're a Christian club, so I used a biblical example of leadership. So you can get kind of creative. But if I hadn't consulted the YouTube channel, maybe I wouldn't have come up with a good idea. Alright, so you brainstorm. We're still in pre-game phase. I think the tricky thing with pathways is there's a lot of prep involved. There's a lot of additional thinking that can happen if you really want something out of it. So, you brainstorm. Now, you're at draft the speech. So writing out the speech, it gives you an opportunity to really clarify your thoughts. Not everybody has time. So like Paul Sharp's speech tonight, here is his speech. It is the most beautiful, eloquent speech I've ever read.
It's fantastic.
It's fantastic. Okay, but if this is all you can do, that's great. At least put something down. The reason is because at least this way you've got a clear structure. You know what you're trying to do. You've got an idea. Now, I think for people who are giving speeches in English, you're more likely to write it down. But maybe if you're giving it in Chinese, you're like, well, 没有空就来讲啊. Okay, it happens, I get it. We all live our lives. But writing it out really helps to clarify it. Now, this is more of a Paul Sharp thing. Rehearse, baby! A speech is nothing but a blog post until you say it. So if you have time, you try to take that speech you wrote, or take the little bit of paper that you have, and say it out. Time yourself. I think especially timing. Born to Shine, TJF has a problem with time. If you saw us last week, we had 3 overtime speakers. I shan't name names. Okay, and then print your form. If possible, print it out early so people can see it. This really helps the evaluators because it takes a billion clicks to get to your form. Okay, party time! It gets to Friday. It's 7 p.m. You're stoked. You're like, yeah, baby! Alright.
Wouldn't this be game time?
Deliver. I guess it's game time. I wanted a party. Game time! Okay, deliver the speech. You come up, you give your speech. Everybody's excited. You get filmed. You're YouTube famous now. Great. Enjoy that time. It's about the easiest part of the actual speech process. It's just getting up here and saying it. And then finally, take the feedback. Now, when I say take the feedback, what I mean is someone really amazing, like Eric Mott, he'll come up and he'll say, I really, really liked your very, very good speech.
Hey.
Oh, no!
I never say that anymore.
Now, Eric Mott is an evaluator who could pinpoint maybe 5 or 6 things that you could improve with your speech. But what are like the 2 top things that you really want to improve and carry it over to the next? So for example, an evaluator might say, oh, I wanted to hear more about X part of your story. That might not fit very well with your next speech. But if Eric Ma were to say, I didn't understand the connection between point A and point B. A logic issue. That's something that would carry over really, really well to a next speech. So think about what things do I need for next time? What things do I need for next time? All right, so party time. After the party, give your VP a high five. There we go. Okay. You're not my VP, but I'll give you a high five.
It's my VP.
All right. Go enjoy the moment. People heard your speech. Really take it in. Submit your project. This is my greatest sin. Because you have to go back onto the system and tell them you did it. But your VPE needs you to tell the system you did it, so your club can get points. Linda, I'm sorry. There are several speeches I still have to submit. Don't look at me like that. But this helps the club, so do this. Don't forget about it. And then think about your next story. And that's the process. Again, with pathways, I think there are more steps. But if you go through those steps, it's very beneficial. So bottom line though, know your objective. Why are you getting up to speak? Okay, we talked about this. So for example, in visionary communication, stage level 3, you're supposed to develop a communication plan. So I did that in July. It wasn't super effective because my PowerPoint failed. It was disastrous. Does anyone remember? No one remembers. Thank goodness. Okay, but for that level, I started to think about how I struggle with visual aids. That's the area I thought I really want to pinpoint and fix, is my use of PowerPoint, props, that sort of thing. So then, May, in TGIF, I did a speech using Japanese little stuffed characters. I don't know if people remember, I had bags, I was pulling it out. Okay, that was my first time using the physical.
Get rid of my memory.
Yeah, it's great, you loved it.
It's on the videos.
I loved trying to do that because I had never used physical props before. And then my last one, my most recent speech, was using PowerPoint effectively. I'm a part of an online club in Japan called Roppongi. And I just got the bell me. Okay, so this is our 20 minutes. We've got 5 minutes QA. I'm going to take 30 seconds to wrap this up. Yes, sir?
Why is there banana in front of OE?
Joe!
It's Joe!
Joe!
It's Joe!
Yeah, but why is it banana?
Banana Joe. Anyway.
Okay.
He's using effective visual aids.
Exactly.
So, the main point I'm trying to make, though, is when I entered level 3, I thought about what are my weak areas. And visual aids and decent PowerPoint slides were my weak area. So that's what I wanted to target. And I used pathways to allow me to practice that. Okay, so general questions. We're in Q&A time. That's 20 minutes that I really fast.
If nobody's got a question, I've got a question.
So,
You got a question.
yeah.
Okay.
So, I don't know where to click, and that's.
On your mouse.
You said
Click,
20,000
click,
clicks.
click.
I have 40,000.
Click on your mouse.
Still haven't reached one.
Click on your mouse.
So my basic suggestion is, when it comes to Basecamp, if you're not sure, your VP is the best person to talk to.
This is the VP.
Your VP is the best person to talk to.
The one that was looking at you dirty?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
But in all honesty, taking some time and looking at the website and just the Toastmasters platform and getting more comfortable is a basic starting point. I had to spend time just like, okay, click here, understanding, because it's a lot of buttons. So if you're really, really stuck, I suggest working with the VPE. They're supposed to be working on a smartphone version. I don't think it's going to turn out well, but if you really have a problem, I will sit with you.
Do you ever feel like you have? Do you ever feel like your creative freedom is restricted when you're given a specific objective through the pathways?
Yes.
And how do you deal with that?
So generally, I try to think of my most creative angle. So I'll give you an example. There's a speech that you have to do about mentorship, right? Yes?
Yes.
Do you remember what I did for my mentorship speech, Paul?
No.
I think you evaluated it. I can't remember actually. Yes, I do. So I talked about a mentor that I had. That led me
yes.
through
But I didn't evaluate it.
marriage counseling.
Yes.
You were the language evaluator
Yes.
that day. Yes. And so I talked about marriage counseling. So basically, I try, even though it's really restricted, I look for a unique angle. And I think sometimes that restriction does force you to sort of think about it more. But yes, I think it does restrict that creative freedom a bit.
20 years ago, the Toastmasters, they used to hand you a manual.
Yes.
We wish.
So
We
therefore, like, what we were finding back then was it was still hard to get compliance because people have to have the time to prepare the speech and write it, structure it,
Yes.
deliver it, etc. Now when you're adding in 50,000 clicks,
The number gets bigger.
how effective is this? Have they measured the effectiveness compared to the old system? Because if the system's not broken, why fix it?
That's a very good question. I'm sure there's someone in corporate Toastmasters who sweats bullets over this very question. Don't upload this part.
Is that
Too late.
leadership?
Not a good leadership. I would say though, a lot of this, if you notice, it takes a good amount of planning. And if that's something that you struggle to make time with, I think working with a mentor who can help keep you on task would be very good. So in Roppongi, I write Japanese speeches. And I used to wait and be like, oh my gosh, this meeting is tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. But then the quality is not so good. So then I found a mentor who then, like the week before the meeting, is like, Joe, where's your script? And I think that little bit of additional pressure has sort of forced me to put out better quality things. It's a struggle though. It's a really big struggle. I think mentors can help. I think having some people to help guide you and make it a priority can make a difference. But it's difficult. It's very difficult.
I can add on to that.
Yeah.
I would suggest before you even look at a pathway, just know what exactly you want to accomplish out of Toastmasters.
Yes. I think,
Like you really need to sit down before you join and say, why do I want to be here and what do I want to learn? And then focus all your energy in the club towards learning that thing.
I want to be here for second round.
well, so that's the big challenge is that, so for me, TGIF and Born to
Put your
Shine,
hand there.
when you all have the questionnaire, like, oh, why did you come? Or like, what brings you here? A lot of times for me, it's just the social aspect. I could go months without giving a speech and be perfectly content. But, you know, we are here for a purpose. And so I think for me, this summer, I was trying to really rededicate and think about why do I want to do this? What do I want out of it? And that's a really good, critical question.
Sorry, Paul brings up a good point because before you would have the CTM program.
Yes.
It was one consistent path.
Mm.
When you've got newcomers coming in and you're saying, oh, congratulations, you're a Toastmaster. Oh, by the way, which one of these 6 do you want? How would I mean, even me, I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, how would I know? I don't even know what it means.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think it adds sometimes more complexity than is needed. My basic suggestion, so basically across all of the levels, the first level is the same. You do an icebreaker, all of that. So my suggestion personally is that I would just have the person try to do an icebreaker speech and watch a couple of club meetings and just get comfortable first. Rather than being like, okay, Mia, for example, joined TGIF recently. Rather than forcing Mia, okay, you join. What's your path right now? Let her instead do some table topics, watch a couple of meetings, do an icebreaker. Because a lot of that's very consistent across all the paths. So maybe trying that out first before selecting. Okay, we're unfortunately out of time.